Hello everyone, this is ETV Special Edition and I'm Santayo Tamrat with this edition. With this edition, I'll try to focus on the recent statement by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres regarding the conflict in the northern part of Ethiopia. And my guest today is Professor Beyene, who is currently working as the Director General of Ethiopian Policy Studies Institute. Thank you so much for staying with me. Stay tuned. And thank you so much, Professor Beyene, for joining ETV Special Edition.
Also, thank you for this opportunity.
The UN Secretary General said Tuesday as a situation in Ethiopia is spiraling out of control, while the Ethiopian government said it is much better now and it is just trying to control much of the areas that were occupied previously by the TPLF. And what's your take on that?
Well, my take on this is, the Secretary General's statement is simply uncalled for, and it does not really take into account the facts on the ground. And the fact that the sovereign Ethiopian nation has a right to handle and normalize situations, and this is its own prerogative. Other entities, including the UN, must only function within the provisions of the Charter that are, appropriate for the kind of situation which is in Ethiopia. And that, in fact, the Chapter 7, Article 2 and 7 stipulates that the jurisdiction is of the sovereign nation. So, okay, there is a conflict that is created by, a group which is supposed to be functioning within the constitution of the country, but they have been operating out of limits. And the Ethiopian government, as per the constitution, had the obligation to get into Tigray and bring law and order in that part of the country. So this is a regional government which does not have any right to have its own army. The constitution, allows them to have the local police or regional police. Okay, but they are operating out of that, basic provision, and they have been launching war against the government. And no nation in this world would accept, one group of, individuals that are, organized to launch an attack on the central government, would just operate as a desire. Every government would take measures to stop them, okay, to have law and order instituted in that part of the country. So this being the reality, okay, for Secretary General Antonio Guterres to go and to go that far to say the situation in that part of the country has gotten out of control. Out of whose control? The Ethiopian government's control? The Ethiopian government did not say it has gotten out of control, but it has brought back the situation to control, or it's in the process of bringing back, the situation under control, because that rogue group, the TPLF, had even crossed their territory and invaded other region, which is another regional government as per the constitution. So they have invaded that part of the country. And what the Ethiopian government did is to push them back, okay, and then move further on to institute law and order in Tigray. So nothing has gone out of control here. It is a sovereign country. It's trying to bring law and order in that part of the country. And if possible, even to bring those guys who have been commanding this, illegal, war against Ethiopian citizens, to account for. That's what the government is. Okay, that's by very concept of a government, that's what the government does. It has all the right to bring all the perpetrators, all who go against the law to account. And that's what the government is trying to do. I think we are on the right track. There is nothing out of control. The government is containing all those rogue groups who come and invade peasant communities, destroy resources, kill people. And so if we allow that, then that means there is no government in Ethiopia. So it's just an acceptable statement. Simply reflects, the biased position of such individuals who don't respect their role as global civil servants. They should not forget that, global civil servants. People like the Secretary General and the World Health Organization's director, Tedros Adhanom. These guys just forget that they are global civil servants, and they have to be playing that role. Not they just cite this and that, and then make all these irrelevant statements.
Well, my next point related with this one is some people argue that there is no neutrality in the UN statement that we are just talking about in portraying the current situation both in Tigray and in those the conflict hot spots.
No, I think this is rather embarrassing for a seasoned professional as Guterres. What the world wants to see from them in such high positions is to be, fair, considerate, and care, be concerned about facts. So what the statements they are making has been ignorant, statements out of ignorance. And all these statements are unreasonable. They would be expected to be balanced. And start speaking with some knowledge, some information about the situation on the ground. So, and again, it's totally untenable kind of position, trying to equate, the guys who are in Tigray, organized, robbed the government of its army resources, and started to attack. That group is being equated with the sovereign Ethiopian state, the Ethiopian armed forces. And those guys, that's also an unfair or rather very ignorant kind of equation. So Ethiopia is by its very nature, it's a government, is acting accordingly, what any government in any part of the world it is. But this is a rogue group, which has been outlaws, you can call them even vagabonds because you cannot respect them because they are not behaving like human beings. They are not behaving like humans. They have no feel for innocent citizens. Distraction, all those things you just raised. I don't think that's descriptive of the Ethiopian government as a whole, and specifically the armed forces. From what I've seen and observed, and even have gone into the front end scene, this is a highly disciplined group. And this question of rape, distraction, blah, blah, I don't think that is descriptive of such a professional, force. And from what we've been seeing very recently, the move as they went into Tigray, that the Ethiopian army has been making, is with extreme care and caution, not to fire into the cities, okay, to avoid collateral damage. My take of the kind of force the Ethiopian army has wouldn't take all this time if they were really randomly bombarding and trampling upon all resources and persons. It could have been even much shorter. But they seem to be moving in a rather very slow, careful, cautious, okay, by slowly, taking grounds, acquiring, a few, maybe meters a day. That's the kind of thing we see. And what is this dictated by? By caution, by concern for the citizens. So this kind of army cannot be alleged, to be, entering into such immoral, illegal, kind of actions, which the TPLF fighters and the commanders, displayed, and all of this has been on record. I mean, these guys just don't have any face at all. They lie, they exaggerate. And why do these highly placed, supposedly global civil servants are doing this? It just shows where they stand, okay? Their allegiance, not the truths or the facts on the ground. So they have to come to their senses and understand that Ethiopian government is engaged in what it is supposed to do as a government. Cannot leave that part of Ethiopia just for these hooligans. And these guys close all the borders, destroy resources, all that, and then come back and complain about lack of communication, lack of power, lack of access to whatever telecommunication, media, whatever. Who is preventing that? Their action. How can this poor country simply make that accessible and see it to be destroyed? Okay. It's a situation where when there was a truce, for a limited period of time, even technical people went into there to put the electricity back to function. They were savagely murdered. Okay? What happened to the banks? They have been all looted. Now, it just does not make sense, So I really question the very integrity of these individuals who just simply want to fault the government. The government is really in serious trouble. How can it handle these rogue groups which destroy everything and then come back and complain, oh, we don't have a communication line, we don't have electricity, we don't have banking system? Who would put a bank where these vagabonds who come and rob? Okay, some banks, these are share companies, so property of individuals. Okay, how can you just put such assets under these kind of high-risk situations? No country will put that. No businessman would call them. Banks are business, operations. Who would put those to be robbed? The whole logic is just simply hard to fathom. I really, I don't know. I know there is so much unfairness globally, but even then, this is of utmost, of an exaggerated nature of, misrepresentation. And when I see this from, highly placed global civil servants, that's even depressing. You just lack any confidence in the whole system. in the global system.
There are just several towns that have been freed by the Ethiopian National Defense Force, like Kobo in Amhara region, some in Afar region, and also in Tigray, for example, Shire. And the people are just showing that they are happy and they are resuming in some way normal life, everyday life. But the report by the UN the UN Secretary General was not similar. It was not just similar to what is on the ground. So why do you think is the Security Council or the UN Secretary General is saying so? What is the intention behind that?
Well, from the facts I have, I think the Security Council has not passed any resolution that would be binding. It has been blocked by the members of the, there are what, the 5 or whatever, no. This has not been possible. They have been tabling issues time and again. So from what I know, there is no binding resolution made. I mean, their intents have not gone to the extent of passing a resolution. So I think we should focus on the Secretary's office and what they are doing, and the other institutions such as the World Health Organization, World Food Program, others which are the wings of the UN. So the facts on the ground are what you just stated. In the areas where the TPLF forces have been totally pushed out, the population is, joyous from the few clippings we're getting, okay? And that means you only can win the hearts and minds of people, okay, by providing services. I mean, among these, food, drinks, health services, those are the most, primary. So the government now, from the information we're getting, is gearing up, to provide those services and opening the corridors where the travel, the travel is possible, so that right. So another one through Gondar and reaching to Shire and all that. There is that preparation being made. Even before that, they have also discovered some warehouses where the TPLF has been hoarding, okay? Resources that have been, given for the food aid, food aid and others that have been supposed to have been distributed to the population. So they are now making it available to the population. We see some clippings of those activities going on. And we don't see, the townspeople coming and even demonstrating against the armed forces, whatever. Everybody is quite happy. I see jubilations, okay, when the armed forces are entering some of these locations. The reception that we see is definitely the tip of the iceberg. That's an expression of, the deep, the sentiments of the Tigrayan people. If every part of the Tigray region has been accessed, I would think that's how the population will react, because the Ethiopian government and the forces are coming into their localities, making resources available to them, okay, not taking away. So that's what matters under this kind of condition. So to think otherwise, that the Ethiopian government is bent on killing every Tigrayan or just ambushing everybody, that is crazy. No, well-meaning or no government that worthy of being a government would do that to its citizens. And I don't know why they want us to believe otherwise. Okay? If somebody is shooting, definitely, an armed military person would shoot back. But without that, under a normal situation, the army will not just start shooting at everybody, okay, who is supposedly Tigrayan or occupying that part of the, the country. So, yeah, I think we are seeing positive indications that the Ethiopian army will prevail ultimately. Okay, the process is slow, and as I say, this is caution, not lack of power. Okay, so this should not be taken as weakness. Okay, and they start talking all this nonsense. Okay, which is not descriptive at all of the very nature of the army and the very intention of the central government, the federal government. So I think we have to, keep on exposing such uneducated, uninformed, simply biased kind of, propaganda that is being perpetrated, and this only serves the interests of some superpowers, okay, who are really spoiled by having their way, okay, wherever, okay, every function, activity, whatever a country or a population does, they always say, oh, this country's interest, our interest, American interest, okay. That seems to be taken always a precedence, not the interest of the population. Okay, so their track record simply shows their interest goes contrary to the interest of the population. You can name countries which their interventions, whatever, had caused havoc, destroyed nations, okay, highly developed, literally tore them down into shreds. That's their track record. So we Ethiopians, should just be careful about these schemings that come in different forms and contents. So I think we are okay. Okay, it's a matter of time now. They are now scapegoating Eritrea about getting involved in this. It's also international law that any country can invite, okay, another government or whatever.
Yeah, we know that, for example, we can know that in history, in 2008, when the U.S. Army invaded Iraq without getting consent from the UN Security Council, it was just trying to attract into that conflict or into that invasion countries like England.
Yeah, it's any country is in fact, okay, that's not their sovereignty being challenged. That's another sort of a different ball. Okay, it's global, the agenda of global control.
Yeah, even global issue.
Even for that purpose, they recruit forces. Okay, it's not only the American forces who actually destroyed Syria. There are also others that have been invited. Even in Iraq, others have been invited. So what's the big deal? Okay, Ethiopia invites a neighbor, which has also vested interest, because Eritrea has also been attacked. Who shot these, what you call these long-range missiles into Eritrea? Did the Eritreans shoot before? Hitting their airport, destroying their property. This is, I tell you, it's crazy.
So you are just telling me that it is the TPLF itself that instigated conflicts into Eritrea.
Self-inflicted kind of problem. For no reason that the world leader or Ethiopia announced, the first started shooting into Eritrea, attacked the Ethiopian army. The next thing they did was shooting into Eritrea. So Eritrea has a vested interest. Okay, it would like to have even disarm the TPLF. Okay, so that there will not be a potential danger of getting that kind of aggression. So Eritrea, whether invited or not, has interest on what happens to TPLF, because it's a part of its insecurity. So making a big mound out of this small event is just a pretext, okay, to support the TPLF, Rogu group, okay, and I don't know whether they are in the paid list, okay, of those, people who advocate for the TPLF's position, which is non-defensible. You cannot defend whatever TPLF did. I know these guys. I worked with them during the transitional government. And then after, as opposition party leader, we interacted with them extensively. So I never imagined they would turn into such savage Rogu group. Okay? They were concerned. They were the crafters of the constitution and all that. That constitution is working against them now. They cannot do that with the constitution which they have in place in Ethiopia. Okay? That constitution gives authority for the federal government when something, okay, beyond the capacity of that region happens in terms of peace and security. The federal government can intervene. Does not have to ask even the local government for permission. They wrote that into the constitution themselves. Okay, now they are crying fouls, foul. We are being attacked. Destroy the Tigrayan people. They are destroying the Tigrayan population. They are starving the Tigrayan population. That's what the fact on the ground. The Ethiopian government allows lorries and lorries of food to supply, whatever. Then they steal the vehicles, okay, the trucks. Nobody asked the question. Where are those thousands of trucks which went into Tigray carrying all those provisions? Where was Antonio Guterres, to make comment on that? Where was he when the Tigray Rogu group came and, abused the Amhara and the Tigray regional population? Were they making that statement? Did they tell the Rogu group when they almost got to Bahra Devra Brahan to stop what they are doing? Did they? No. They're just watching and saying, they were ready to congratulate them if they had arrived in Addis. That was what they were waiting for. So I have no respect for all these, kind of, guys who behave that they are responsible and making responsible statements. No, it's full of contradiction. Okay, so the game is different. So we Ethiopians must be careful. Okay, we know the ins and outs of their, machinations, and we continue doing what we can. Okay, we want peace. Okay, do those guys want to talk? In fact, our state, they must be disarmed. Okay, if they are they're still part of the government, Ethiopian state. Okay, so they are possessing arms which are not allowed by the constitution of the land. So they must submit those arms and be treated like any citizen in Ethiopia. Okay, and they don't want that. And they always say, we'll get this by force. But, they're now seeing their forces crash now, okay? Although what perhaps is left is go back to their guerrilla life. Let them try it. Another 17 years. Okay. I think it comes down to that. Let them go and try it. So we are bothered more than limits. We have been trying to be reasonable. We have been trying to avoid understanding, but their behavior defies any reason. So, in that case, the integrity and the safety of this nation must be, defended And that's what the Ethiopian government is doing. And so it's none of their business to come and do all of that. They don't care for the Ethiopian population more than we do. Okay, what are they to have that kind of posturing? Okay, that we are here to kill each other. We are there to be really seriously concerned about us. Through time, we'll solve all big and little difficulties we have, and they should leave us alone. I would say stay out. Okay, don't you have any other business? Please stay out. We have seen you enough. To continue to barrage with all irrelevant insinuations, accusations, is cannot be tolerated beyond this point.
Now let's move on to the peace talk, which is just being organized by the African Union. And what is just your take on that?
Any well-meaning government cannot stay out of peace talks. Cannot stay out from peace talks. It's if that works, if that would bring them to their senses, okay, that would be made use of. So I have no problem if they are willing or capable of talking. I don't know what kind of face they have to fit into that kind of setting. Only human beings with human nature, with human moral basis and what have you, would be competently engaging in a peace-making process. And I think they have been sacrificing the poor Tigrayan kids, children, mothers, elderly people into these wave of the 14th, 15th century wave of warfare, and then occupying a sizable part of the country outside of Tigray, and then intending to use as a negotiating chip. That has not worked now. So what do they have to negotiate? Okay, what's their negotiating chip? What would the Tigrayan or the TPLF side offer? Okay, peace talks is give and take. Yeah. Okay, what do they have to offer? I see nothing. Okay, perhaps they should simply ask, to disarm themselves, and then we can, make what this country affords to be available to all Tigrayan population, as it is to all other Ethiopian population. So I think the question is simple, and I don't think it will take very long to conclude that talk. You can sit, and I am just anxious to know what the TPLF would offer as a point of negotiation. They have done all the damage. There's nothing which is out of, perceivable legal, provisions. They have done everything. They have done every damage, and I don't know what they would offer us, as a negotiating chip. So I don't know. Ethiopia cannot say no. I'll not sit and talk to them. Okay, diplomatically and otherwise, that's not appropriate. Okay, let's sit and talk. But I'm just wondering what would be their negotiating chip on their side.
You have just been mentioning that you have been working with the TPLF when they were just in the federal power, even since they came to the federal power, I can say. And many who well know the TPLF, like you, argues that the TPLF is pretty unlikely to give chance to peace. What is your say on this?
Well, they are manipulators, okay? If pretending to be peace, respecting peace and peacemakers and what have you, they can play that game. Okay, the time I knew them and what have you. Okay, so the whole promise for democratizing Ethiopia equality within the peoples, what have you. I think all of that now, after everything is said and done, looks to me like a smoke screen. Okay, and yeah, I think that group of TPLF leadership has, resolve for never be poor again. Okay, what makes, what really matters is, to be rich, to have property, to have access to power. Okay, access to power will lead to resources. So that's the game they played. When they initially came, they just sounded like a benevolent kind of people, so kind and standing with the oppressed peoples, what have you. Their agenda is to, peacefully bring that back to order or create peace. It did not take too long that their correct identity or correct intent to reveal. It did not take them too long. And that's why myself and the group, we operated together as political activists, quit the transitional government. Okay, and they said, well, of course, they also pushed us out, okay, because they denied our rights of expression, of meeting with whoever is of benefit to us peacefully. Okay, they had to kick us out of parliament. We said, okay, then we just started organizing an extra parliamentary opposition kind of grouping. Okay, it took so long to bring them down. Okay, but anyway, it did not take us too long. What they initially, during the Charter Conference, which we participated in, the Charter Conference led to the formation of a transitional government. Okay, their true, image and picture unraveled not too long. It did not take even 2 months. They started behaving, grabbing resources and all that. And then ultimately started accusing each other, with what the Tambra line ended up being. It is a conflict of, they were competing for resources, for access to resources, to get rich, promote their, what you call their near kins and what have you. So, well, that's why we've been really opposing them until, finally, although they also have a rather highly inflated opinion about them. Okay, oh, they are the smartest strategists, fighters, always win, not get defeated. Okay, even some extreme opinions like the golden race. Okay, now this is a statement. I did not make it up. So this is an exaggerated opinion about them. Okay, but now we saw it in the battlefield. What can happen? They are another human. So it's just showing what they have now gotten at. Is showing that all that inflated opinion about themselves is simply unrealistic.
My next point perhaps would be just the statement issued by the Ethiopian government, and it announced recently that it will make control and management of the federal institutions in Tigray region, the airports, universities, hospitals, factories, like institutions. So what implication can this bring to the international community that have been just allying with the TPLF?
I just said, that's a bunch of, organizations that are losing credibility. I just said, let them stay out. It's not their business. Okay? A legally empowered government should be doing all those things you mentioned. Okay? Those are federal resources. And I think the Ethiopian federal government should not stop at that, should also be protecting the local infrastructure or the locally developed resources. Those are resources of the population. So maybe that's the first step. Like, okay, I've invested in these. The federal government has all the right. Okay, that's its jurisdiction. I will protect them. And the reason is, TPLF will destroy them and have been destroying them. Okay? What did they do to the airport in Aksum? They bulldozed it. Okay? And put a lot of, all those rocks and what have you in the airfield, so it cannot be, used. So that's a federal asset. Okay? They destroyed it, bulldozed it. So, shouldn't the federal government, protect the public properties? Those are public properties. Now, they could have, those resources could have been used in other parts of the country. But we don't have as many airports and other nice paved roads, what have you, as it is in Tigray. So, those are federally sponsored. So I think my position on this is, I don't know the tactical essence of that when the statement was made, the federal assets. It should be all the assets in Tigray. They must be all, protected. Okay, is whatever taking over, whatever would mean protecting those properties from being damaged, from being looted, destroyed. So the federal government should not stand only at protecting the federal assets. It should only protect all the property in that region, as it does protect resources in other parts of the country. The division, maybe it's only tactical, the first step. Maybe the second, we give this priority to this. And again, there may be other political considerations, when it comes to access to travel and whatever facilities. So I leave that to the government, okay, who is taking care of, the actions. What should be the actions, the sequence of actions in that region. I'll leave the details, to those people who plan and have the, actions, one kind of another, implemented there. The details should be left to the government. But yeah, it is legal. I don't know of any international law that would disallow protecting its properties. Okay, it's an investment in billions. So how can we just stand and watch these guys destroying them? Yeah, that would be, I think, a failure of the responsibility of the government. If it does not do that, it would be a big failure of the government not to act on those.
Thank you, Professor Beyene Petros, for sharing your time to give us some details on the UN Secretary General's very recent statement on the Ethiopian cause. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for staying with ETV Special Edition.
It's been my pleasure.
Dear viewers, this has been the conversation with Professor Beyene Petros, Director General of Ethiopian Policy Studies Institute. We have talked on the recent statement by the UN Chief Antonio Guterres and also the statement by the Ethiopian government regarding the conflict in the northern part of Ethiopia. Thank you so much for staying with me, and I'm Sentayo Tamrat with this edition of ETV Special Edition. See you another time.